Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about affordances and HCI. The term affordance was originally invented by J.J. Gibson in late 1970s to refer to actionable properties between the world and an actor, and the actor could be anything, a person or an animal. So let's take a look at an example of affordances, right? So the cabinet door can be opened, therefore affordance exists. However, this definition of affordance has some serious limitation. Affordances just exist and it's up to the actor to discover the functionality that is offered by the affordance. It's just a feature of an environment and hence it has very serious limitations and relevance to its application in HCI. In late 1980s, Don Norman suggested that affordances could be employed successfully in design. He suggested that affordances provide strong clues to operation of things, like plates are for pushing, knobs are for turning, balls are for throwing or bouncing. When affordances are taken advantage of, the user knows exactly what to do without instructions, label, pictures, anything. Norman did not change the original definition of affordances, but he introduced the concept of perceived affordance, which defines clues that a device or a user interface gives to the user to function on an object. So how do these two terms differ from each other, right? So let's take example of the cabinet door. Per Gibson, since the cabinet door can be opened, affordance exists. However, per Norman, the cabinet door has no handles or hinges informing us on how to act upon it. Therefore, affordance is lacking out here. Let's look at some more examples of affordances, some good, some bad, and some well known, right? So buttons usually indicate where the user has to press them, right? So that's a good example of an affordance. The put away box on the upper right hand corner of Macintosh window, it's a bad example of an affordance, right? And there are some well known affordances out there, like glasses for looking through, stairs are for climbing, door handles are for pulling, and door bars are for pushing, and so on. Now that we have talked about the basic concepts of affordances, let's focus on affordances and HCI. So, the original concept of affordances seems to fall apart as it relates to software and user interfaces because there is no physical interfaces, right? Literally anything is possible. All a user has to do is click anywhere and wait and watch how that system responds, right? Especially in HCI and UX, it's very important for us to convey what an item can do. We try to focus on helping the user, and affordances is something that can help user do something. In case of interaction design, affordances are characteristics of user interface objects and interaction design features that helps a user perform a certain task. So, how do you apply these theories of affordances in HCI, right? So Norman defined two important characteristics of good design. One is discoverability and the other one is understanding. In discoverability basically tries to answer the question, is it possible to figure out what action to take, where, and how to perform them? Understanding tries to answer the question, what does all of this means? How is this product supposed to be used, work? What is the purpose of it? What different controls and settings there are that a user can action upon? So when you think about applying the theory or concept of affordances to HCI, it's very, very important to make sure that the comfort in interacting with virtual objects is affected by the facts on how quickly one can discover and understand how that virtual object or an app works, right? Therefore, we should always make sure that we transfer knowledge and habits that we have accumulated over a period of time into virtual objects, right? So people have used Windows XP for such a long time, and when newer version of Windows comes out, you need to make sure that the functions are very similar. The start button is there, people can click on it and continue with their actions. There's nothing more frustrating than searching for something, not discovering that the same function doesn't work the same way in the newer version of the software. And finally, transfer habits and knowledge from physical world into virtual world. For example, scrolling by a mouse or moving a cursor around the screen is so natural for us, right? Dragging elements and dropping them into different place, or touching the screen by fingers, or sliding objects, etc. So that concludes my presentation on affordances and HCI. I hope you liked it, and if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to send me an email. Thank you.